this is Steve here. Hey, I want to do a little series of videos on open tunings on the guitar. And I think I'll do maybe one or two, I'll do two at a time for this video. Maybe I'll do, well, we'll see what happens. So standard tuning, which you're probably used to using, you have E, A, D, G, B, E, which works pretty good. But there are different things that you can do where you tune your guitar differently, and there's pros and cons. The cons that I think keep most people away is it's something unfamiliar, might be nervous about. The chord shapes that you're used to all of a sudden don't make those chords anymore, and things like that. But the pros far outweigh the cons, because there's all kinds of interesting stuff that you can't play any other way. Once you get used to it, it's actually easier, and it's pretty cool. So if you're feeling in a rut with your guitar playing, or you just want to try something new, we'll do open tuning. So I'm in standard right now. A lot of people are like, oh man, I don't know, I get in a whole other tuning, that sounds, no, it's not that big a deal. So let's do open G first. And there's different ways to do it. We're going to do the slack tuning, which means with all of these tunings I'm going to show you right now, you're only tuning down. There are tunings like on the dobro. There's an open G tuning. It's basically like as if you're holding a G chord. And that can get a little tricky because you're basically tuning your strings way up, and it's more likely they'll snap on you. So for these, we're tuning just down. And so the quick way to do it without thinking too much is we're going to end up with, from low to high, D, G, D, G, B, D. So this E has to go down a full step to a D. This A string's going to go down a full step to a G. The D, G, and B strings, those are already parts of a G major chord. We just leave those alone. And this high string E also goes down to D. And so you could use a tuner if you want to miss that, but the quick way to do it if you're just on the fly is play this E string, but do the 12th fret harmonic, and then play the open D string. And you can, those two should match, that 12th fret harmonic and this open string D. Okay, boom. Same thing, this A string is going down to G, so we could just play the 12th fret harmonic. And we said we're leaving these three alone. And this top one, so that way you're just using the guitar itself to reference where you are. You can fine tune it later, and you'll find that when you go into alternate tunings, you might have to adjust them once in a while to keep them in there. So now we have D, G, D, G, B, D, which are just all notes of a G major triad. Technically this one has the D down low, so it'll be like the 5th in the bass. So be aware of that. Now, you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and play a little C chord here, see how it sounds. That doesn't sound right. What about a D chord? What's happening? Well, we're in another tuning now. So some things don't work quite the same, but don't worry. It'll be okay. Now, as far as finding notes within the key, melody notes, this took me a long time to figure out, but it's true of this open tuning, and I think most other open chord tunings, is a little pattern if you're thinking of it in terms of tab or in terms of frets. So for instance, on this low string, if we think open or 0, 2, 4, 5, 0, 2, 4, 5. And on the next string, 0, 2, 4, 5. And on the next string, you guessed it, 0, 2, 4, 5. And we know it would have to be, since these are both Ds. So the fretting on them would be the same. Now we have a G here, 0, 2, 4, 5. So what do you think this G will be? 0, 2, 4, 5. Now before you go too crazy, this string is different because it's a B natural, right? And in the chord G, the B natural is the major third. And you'll notice in this open tuning, that's the only B natural in the whole open tuning. We have a lot of Ds, 3 Ds, and we have 2 Gs, but only one major third. And so while every other string obeys the 0, 2, 4, 5 rule, the major third, that B string, is 0, 1, 3, 5. So if you're just strumming around, 0, 2, 4, 5. Okay, so that's just up to the 5th fret, just to give you an idea like what's possible in the key of G. Those are all your diatonic notes. Now, let's say you want to play a chord. All right, let's play the 1 chord, G. Ready? Do it one hand tied behind my back. Okay, there's your G chord. Now there's a couple ways that you can play like your 4 chord, like a C. One way is like, let's say you're a person that only has one finger. Well, this tuning's for you, because what you could do is just take your one finger and bar every string on the 5th fret, okay? And you'll probably want your thumb on the back there as a C clamp to hold it tight. There's a C major chord with a G in the bass. 4, 1, 4, 1. And to play the 5 chord of D, you can use that same shape of just straight finger and play that on the 7th fret. Now you have essentially a D major chord with an A in the bass. Now that the root in the 5th being there is kind of nice if you're playing country stuff. Now, I said there was another way to play the 1, 4, 5, and this way I like a lot because it's so pretty and it's also easy. If you're having trouble pressing those all at one time, keep working on it. But for this chord shape, we just need 2 fingers, these 2 guys, and basically pretend that you're going to play a C major chord like you would, but don't play it yet. Put your hands there, okay? Nice. Now lift up your ring finger, and what you have left is 2 fingers. You have your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, and you have your index finger on the 1st fret of the B string, and everything else is open. And what you'll get is a really pretty chord like this, okay, which functions as our 4 chord in, if we want to be real exact, if we're playing all the strings, that would sort of be a C add 9 with a D in the bass. In this case, I might not play this low string and just have a G in the bass. That way the notes end up being G, E, G, C, D. The D is that add 9. It's really pretty. And then you can just let go of your 2 fingers and you're back to your G chord. So 1 and then a 4 chord, just put that sort of partial, like a C major shape. You don't need your ring finger. Okay, now play our C chord and take that exact shape and just slide it up 2 frets. So your middle finger's on the 4th fret of the D string and your index finger's on the 3rd fret of the B string. Give that a play. Oh. Now this is kind of interesting. Because it's sort of, you could think of it as like a G major 7, it could be. But if you play this down here, you've got a D in the bass. So it's pretty. You could think of it a couple different ways. And but it does have an F sharp and a D in it. And it has a G almost like a add 11 type of thing. But it can function as a 4 chord. I'll prove it to you now. So like, let's say we're doing You Are My Sunshine in a real beautiful open tuning. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me. There's our C chord, C add 9 with the G in the bass. Happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. So that's one idea. Now remember this claw shape, this partial C chord shape with those 2 fingers, because those right now we're playing 6ths if we just play those 2 strings that we're holding down. Now we know open is kind of like they're just parallel, right? As if you were barring open. So then it's 1 apart. You slide up 2 frets. Now if you slide up 1 fret and play both on the 5th fret parallel, we're climbing the scale in G in 6ths. So it's open, claw, claw, straight, straight, claw, straight, straight. And when we're straight on the 12th fret, that's just an octave of where we started. And you could keep going as high as your frets allow. But it's worth practicing that pattern. So open, claw, slide up 2, claw, parallel on the 5th fret, slide up 2, parallel on the 7th fret, and then claw mode again on 9 and 8. Then you could do parallel again on 10 and 10, and then parallel on 12 and 12. Now, once you get that under your fingers and kind of see where those shapes are going to fall, you can do cool stuff like this. Which is what you can't do in standard tuning, right? To have a cool harmonized melody going and a chord going at the same time. That's the beauty. And for most of that, I wasn't playing that low D. That's one thing I don't like about this tuning. To always have that 5th in the bass is kind of goofy. Now there's other shapes you can explore and discover. I'm trying to keep this just simple just to get you going, and I could do a more in-depth one later. But that's the idea, is just strum around and find these shapes. And it's worth noting it's always either the claw or the parallel for those sixth harmonies anyway. Okay? The other thing you can do, if you're feeling really crazy, now remember this is a D just like it normally was, and we tuned this high E down to D. So these are the same note, and they both obey 0, 2, 4, 5. What if we want to go above the 5th fret? Well, it's 7, 9, 10, 12. Okay? So you can do the same idea and just always play those parallel and let everything else ring. So you could go. And just play around. I wouldn't think too much about it. I would just play around it and see what it sounds like. You don't have to strum. You could do arpeggios too, and before you know it, you'll be playing something pretty that you could sit down and be like, oh, okay, well, let me account for the tuning and figure out what chord that's called. If you need to tell a piano player or something, but if you're writing a song or improvising, you don't have to know what it is. It frees you from having to think logically about the guitar, and you can just play. The more you do it, the more your hands just kind of remember where they're gonna go. Now with the G note, 0, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, this one's 11, 12, which makes sense, right? Since we're on G. This is a G major scale, so we need that half step below the 12. So with that, we could play these two G's together. Other things like that. So let me know if you have any questions about open G. Let me show you one other thing. So, all right. Remember I said there's other open tunings and that they usually obey the same kind of rule. Well, let's change to open D. So we already have a D down here. We already have a D here. We already have a D here. This B needs to go down to an A. And this G needs to go up back to the original A it was at. I'll do a more in-depth one on D, and then the G sharp, the G goes down to F sharp. So then you have a big D chord, and the advantage of this tuning is your root is really the lowest note. You don't have a low A under that as you do with the 5th in the bass on open G. So that's a big sound. And now you're thinking, well, I already learned open G. I don't want to learn a whole other open tuning. How will I know where to put my fingers? Well, let's examine something. Remember on the last one, every note that was the root of the chord, in that case G, was 0, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12. And similarly, every 5th note in that chord, which was D, when we were in open G, was 0, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10, 12. And the one oddity that didn't obey those parallel frettings was the third in the chord. And remember, there's only one. There's just that lonely B major. And he was 0, 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 12. Okay, now let's examine what we have for our open D tuning. We have D, A, D. So we have root, fifth, root again, F sharp, which is our lone major third. So we just have another A and another D. So let's see if it works out how I said. So for us D, we have 0, 2, 4, 5, 0, 2, 4, 5, 0, 2, 4, 5. Now here's our oddity. It's on the G string now, but that shouldn't matter. 0, 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 12. Sure enough, now this guy, those are just more a D and an A, so it should be 0, 2, 4, 5. So once you know open G, you also know open D. And spoiler alert, now as long as you can figure out where that one lonely major third note is, that's the oddity, that's the 0, 1, 3, 5, then you know kind of most any open tuning as far as like the triad ones of just 3 notes. So now you're thinking, well, everything seems the same except just shifted. And that's true. And so our claw chord, remember our 2-banger here that was like playing a C major but without a ring finger? That's not gonna work, right? Not there. But if you recall, in that case, when we were in open G, my index finger was on the 1st fret of the B string, which was the oddity string, which was the major 3rd string. And so all we have to do is say, well, F sharp is the major 3rd. And so what if I take that whole idea and just shift it over so my index finger is on the 1st fret of the G string and my middle finger is on the 2nd fret of the A string. And let's test it. Beautiful. Slide it up 2. Beautiful. Parallel. Slide up 2 parallel. Slide up 1 claw. Slide it parallel. Parallel. Works exactly the same way, except you've just hopped over a set of strings to make sure that your index finger, that kind of lead note, is on the only major 3rd in the tuning. There's no other open F sharps here. There was no other open B majors there. So on the other tuning. So all of that stuff still works, including our octave stuff. Yeah, so let me know if you have any questions. I hope that made sense, but it's possible it didn't. And if it didn't, let me know and I can try to be clearer. But yeah, other than just memorizing the tunings and then knowing how to get to them quickly and easily, and then knowing where that major 3rd is, tells you where your chord shapes will be. And you can also do the bar chord, all parallel. It's going to be a major chord wherever you go. Play every major chord. This is also often when you see people use slide. Maybe we could do something with that too, is often in open tuning for that reason, because the slide is basically a big parallel finger that glides. So, I don't know. There's other stuff I could tell you about. But just play around with it and don't think too much about it. Just figure out what the little pattern is, run it enough times for your muscle memory to grab a hold, and then just mess around and see what it sounds like. And I can pretty much guarantee you'll come up with something that sounds cool, that you like. All right, I'll play you out. Let's see.